Before you exit this video because you think analysis is boring, let me just tell you that that is not the case, and here's why. Analysis is great for anyone to use because it allows us to take what inspires us musically and basically recreate it in our own unique way. So what I want to do today is get started with, a real life example of what I think is a cool song. I actually did a cover of it a few weeks ago, so check that out. And what we're going to do is just take a look at what makes that song the way it is and, get some ideas for it so that you guys can get writing your own songs. Alright, so the first concept that I want to talk to you guys about is the concept of chord inversions. So chord inversions is just the concept of rearranging the order of notes in a given chord. So for example, in the F major chord we have F, A, and C. Okay? Now if we want to change the order of those to be A, C, F, we can just change the shape of the chord and move it to a different set of frets. So A, C, F. So it's still an F major chord, but we're just changing the order of the notes. And the reason that we do this is to make the notes just sound a little different in relationship to the other chords that we're using. So this song, Beggars by Thrice, uses the concept of chord inversions quite a bit. So in this first part of the song, it's going to be playing an inversion of the A minor chord. So most of you guys would know the A minor chord is this open shape right here. But in this case, they're taking the E minor shape and moving the E up to an A. So that's how they do the inversion. They take another open chord and just move the root note up to whatever chord they want it to be. So if we want to take the E minor shape, we can move the E minor shape up to A and just bar those notes. And you bar it because it has these open notes on the E minor. So we're just taking the shape of E minor, bringing the E to an A, and that makes it an A minor. And then after that, they move to that inversion that we just talked about, the F. So instead of playing it like this, they play it like this. And the reason that they do that is because it's more efficient to just have all of these notes and then simply add one note than it would be to completely play a completely different chord, right? Alright, so the second concept that I want to talk to you guys about today is the concept of voice leading. And voice leading kind of goes hand in hand with the first concept, which was the chord inversions. So the chord inversions are basically a vehicle that we use to accomplish voice leading. So voice leading is just the concept of making the notes in a given chord, when you change to the next chord, as little movement as possible when it comes to the semitones and of the notes in your first chord. So for an example, those first two chords in Beggars, there's only one note of difference, so that's being pretty efficient with your note movement. So we already kind of touched on this, but the concept is really voice leading. The only time they have like multiple notes move at the same time, it's when they actually move all of the notes by the same number of semitones or tones. So the first chord movement we have like that is when we go from F to G. And this is where he says, as you lie in your bed. So that's just moving this F chord, which is 7, 5, 6 on the 4th, 3rd, and 2nd strings, up two frets to the G. Okay? So we move the whole chord up. And then the next chord is actually an E7, but instead of playing it like this, we're taking the A7 shape and moving it up to E, and we're actually not playing this note, we're just playing these three notes. So we've got 9, 7, 9 starting from the 4th string. So that note is, that's good voice leading because you're moving from this chord you're just changing it by one note, but you're creating a lot of dissonance there because of the E7, which leads nicely back into the A minor. Okay, now from the A minor, we're going to voice lead once more. This time we're just going to move one note up 2 frets, and that's the 2nd string, which is on the 5th fret, and we're going to move it to the 7th fret. So that's the D7. And then from there they go down 1 fret on the 2nd string to the 6th fret, which is the F again. And then this is the next time that they move all the notes at once. And they just move it down a fret to get that E major sound, which leads back naturally into the A minor. So this whole concept of voice leading is just being really efficient with your movements, and which just makes it sound more smooth to the ear, and it just makes your music sound better. So voice leading is a great way to transition from one chord to another without making it sound clunky. Alright, so the third concept that I want to talk to you guys about is the concept of leading notes and basically like things like chromaticism, like descending, ascending lines, because this is used a lot in rock music or any style of music really, but it's especially apparent in like some really cool rock songs. So I want to talk to you guys about it. So we see that in this song after they go from A minor to the D7 and then to the F and then to the E. And you see this all the time in music, so I want to talk about it. So what we've got going on here is the 2nd string is going from 7 to 6 to 5 to 4. So there's got to be, or actually not, it doesn't go down to 4, it just goes down to 5. So let's see. So yeah, it's just 7, 6, 5. And so naturally something's got to be out of the key that they're playing in because they can go down chromatically, but it just makes things sound a little bit more interesting to our ears when we can use something like chromaticism or leading tones. And when I say leading tone, I'm saying like a tone that leads into another tone because it creates a lot of dissonance. So we have a lot of dissonance when we hear this chord. It's really dissonant, and then this chord, you can hear that note wants to go down to there, but then when we have this chord, then this note wants to go up to here. So you have a lot of dissonance going on in this chord as well, the E chord. And that's going to bring us into our last concept, but yeah, with the leading tones and chromaticism, the main takeaway here is that our ears, it makes things sound interesting to our ears when we go out of key, and this is a good way to do it while not sounding awful, basically. So they use that E7, which isn't in key, or the D7, which is not in key. They go to the F, and they go to the E, which leads into the A minor. And that's all happening because of these passing tones, leading tones, creating dissonance, and then resolving. Alright, so the final concept that I want to talk to you guys about is the concept of the dominant chord. So the 5th chord in a scale that has a 7th chord. So the 5th note in the scale, so we're in the scale of A minor in this song. So if we count up to 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, that is the E, and so that's going to be our 7th chord. So that's the, and we've actually played that chord in the song. Remember, we went from so that's your E 7th chord, and that is the dominant chord of this scale, which is the A minor scale. Okay, so the dominant chord, which is the 5th chord, okay, is going to lead into the tonic. All right, so the tonic is the the home bass chord, the root chord, the chord that you're in the key of. So that's A minor in this case. And the fifth chord, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, you play a seventh of it, so the E7, the 7th chord, so that is going to be your dominant and it's going to lead into your tonic. Okay, so it's always the 5th. You can do this for major scales as well. But we see another 7 chord in this song, the D7, remember? So we've got, this goes back to what I was talking about with the chromaticism and getting out of key. So this is actually a borrowed chord. Okay, so this is borrowed from the G scale because it's the 5th of G. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It could technically be another scale, but the point is that it is not in the key of A minor, okay? Because the key of A minor does not have an F sharp, it has an F. But we're playing one, so, and we're still in the key of A minor, we're just outside of it, if that makes any sense. So the D7 is a borrowed key, or a borrowed chord from another key. And that's what makes it so interesting, but those dominant chords have to lead into other chords in most cases, but in this case it's used as a chromatic line. And then we go back to the E, which in this case it's not a 7 chord, it's just an E major, but it's still acting as the dominant chord, which like I said, usually leads back into the tonic. So we have the dominant, which is the 5th, so 1, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that's the root note. So that is our dominant chord, is the E, and it's leading into the tonic, which is the A minor. So I hope you guys had fun analyzing this song, and I hope you took away at least some bit of knowledge. If anything was confusing, please leave me a comment so I can try to explain a little bit more. But you know, if it's all going over your head, that's okay. Just I hope that you took something from this lesson that you can apply to your own music, and remember to try to keep writing your own music and being creative, but also using the music that you love as a way to get ideas. So I hope that you guys can do that with this lesson, and I'll see you for the next one.